What's up, everybody? Welcome in to another edition of Bets and Ball Games with Edwards and Greeson. Happy New Year to everybody. Let's talk about our good friends. Bet Online continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen with the largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA, and college basketball, NHL to UFC. Head to BetOnline today, and don't forget to use promo code BELIEVE, that's all caps BLEAV, for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here. All right, Mr. Greeson, Happy New Year, my man. What's happening?
Happy New Year to you. Are you a traditionalist? Do you have black eyed peas and collard green or turnip greens on New Year's Day?
I do not make them, but I was blessed to have some yesterday at a friend's parents' house. Yes.
Well, we do it at our house, and I do most of the cooking at our house. Believe it or
I
not.
know. I want to have some of that cooking one day.
We make grits and greens, and it's a little heavier grit than the normal breakfast grit. We use a little
cheese, a little bit of cheese, I bet.
A little Parmesan cheese in that, some crumpled up bacon, your greens, and actually some heavy whipping cream instead of regular milk or water. And it is chef's kiss.
I bet your cooking is outstanding.
It's really good.
That's my handicap without even ever stepping foot in your kitchen. That would be my handicap from a distance. All right, good stuff. Let's get going with the good, the bad, and the ugly. And you go ahead and start.
My good has to be LSU. And I know that it was disappointing back half of the season. Brian Kelly is probably hearing whispers. He's the guy that started this loser's tax of paying $1 million into his own NIL fund out of his own money. And it's been followed by Mike Norvell and a handful of others. But LSU looked the part of what we all thought they could be, and that's with some defections. And then they showed a pretty telling graphic that on some rankings, LSU's got 8 of the top 20 transfer portal kids coming next year with the intent of being on the field ASAP. And I mean, I know it's a dangerous game, but it's the game we play. And that game now means LSU's as talented as anybody going into 2025.
My good will be our unofficial, outside of Bet Online and MyPerfectFranchise.net, our unofficial mascot or sponsor, the great America's favorite college football baller, Diego Pavia, leads Vandy to a 35-27 bowl win over, let's remember, a Georgia Tech team that – how many overtime games? How many overtimes that Georgia game?
That was an 8 overtime game.
That's what I thought, 8. Yeah, they gave Georgia everything it could handle and then some in Athens, by the way. And Vandy puts it on them. I mean, it was a close game the first 3 quarters, but a 7-yard touchdown pass by Diego in the first play of the fourth, and then a 6-yard touchdown run by Diego with 9:59 left in the fourth, put them up 35-13. Georgia Tech made it look more respectable with a couple of late touchdowns, but it was all Vandy for the most part. Diego, 13 of 21, 160 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, 17 rushing attempts, 84 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, and he finishes the year with a touchdown interception ratio of 20-4, 800 rushing yards, and 8 rushing touchdowns, and he leads Vandy to a 7-win season when Clark Lee was going in the year on a pretty good hot seat, and then he wins the court case. He's going to make $1 million probably and change next year, and as long as Diego's there, Vandy will have a chance every time they step on the field, and so there'll be great optimism for the Commodores next year. So my good, Diego flipping Pavia.
Well, and one quick tangent on that, because I could agree with everything you said. Not only did he get everybody an extra year, not only did he make Vandy now scary for everybody in a league where they always looked at him as a little more than a speed bump. I think one of the disconnects in modern college football is we as fans you a Florida fan, me an Auburn fan, and we as fans, and now Vandy fans, you really need the face of your program to at least appear like he cares about the program as much as you do. And when that happens, the connection is, I mean, it's like the ripple effect of Tebow. It's one of the reasons why, whether we paid him $180,000 or not, it was clear Cam Newton was invested in Auburn, period. Yep. So, I mean, we would walk into traffic for that dude. You know why? Even with his crazy hat and his get up, because he cared about Auburn like we cared about Auburn.
Yeah, and I forget if it came up on this show, and I don't think I saw any reports about it, but I would be shocked if he didn't get many an inquiry to see if he wanted to transfer someone somewhere else. And I don't think there was ever. I mean, he was coming back to Vandy for sure, in my opinion, at least. And there was nothing that was going to change that. And they might have had to pony up a little more or something. But I'm sure he was never going to leave without giving them the first option of. And he wasn't going nowhere, and that's huge as well. All right, so. For the bad, you got your bad ready? Go ahead, because I got to get this A&M box score, so I've got my details.
Okay, well, clearly you're going A&M.
And you're going Bama.
My bad is Alabama.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a Michigan team that the only way Michigan could beat Alabama is for Alabama to turn it over 17 million times, and they did. They cooperated. Michigan was without as many as like 7 or 8 offensive starters. I mean, that was clearly motivation, or the lack thereof, was a much more important factor than participation, because Alabama had way more dudes playing in that game than Michigan did. And you know, I mean, I don't know how many people. I texted some buddies of mine up here in Chattanooga who are big-time Michigan fans, and I said, you guys are doing the Lord's work. And however you view Alabama, good, bad, or different, if you're not getting the ball, if you are not telling your offensive staff to watch the tape of The Ohio State and how they get Jeremiah Smith involved from the get-go, and that is not your goal with Ryan Williams next year, then you need to fire somebody. I don't know who it is. I don't care if you fire the ball boy. I don't care if you fire the towel girl. Fire somebody, because Ryan Williams is that special. And for him to be an afterthought, please.
Yeah, and then the side conversation, I got to give some props to you, because I was a big DeBoer guy going into the year, and you had plenty of pushback on that and plenty of doubts. And I mean, I think it seems safe to say he's already lost the locker room. Now you'll have a mostly new or some new locker room next year, but he lost that locker room. I mean, those guys did not show up. They had more turnovers than yards midway through the second quarter, like you pointed out, against a Michigan defense that its 4 best players were not playing. And Michigan defense wasn't as salty as last year by any means with all their guys. Now, they played great against Ohio State, obviously, but I mean, I think he enters next year on a somewhat hot seat, right?
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, in the offseason is somebody asked me on my 5 at 10, my morning column Monday through Friday at timesfreepress.com, what do you think, where do you think Milroe will go in the draft? And I said, draft, please. Milroe will make more money in college next year than he will have any chance to make in the NFL. Yeah, at least next year. There's no way he's a first-round guy next year.
Oh, after the other day, I was thinking maybe undrafted. I mean,
well, but if somebody's willing to pony up in the portal, if he's not there and you're going in and DeBoer, see, a lot of apologists are saying, well, Nick Saban went 7-6 or had, 6-7 his first year. Nick Saban inherited a dumpster fire filled with Indian food, diaper-filled diapers. And DeBoer took over a Cadillac. So shut up with the comps, man. That's not apples to oranges. That's apple to moon rocks is what that is. So, I mean, no, I think there is a very real conversation about how hot his seat is. And I mean, in the day and age where year 2 is year 3 compared to what it used to be, Alabama ain't got real comfortable not getting the 10 wins and being in the conversation, because this will only hurt them going next year into fringe playoff contention if they're not a dunk into it.
Yeah, and if DeBoer does not survive next year, he enters the conversation of you not wanting to be Ray Perkins or Ron Zook or Kalen DeBoer. You want to be the man that replaces the man that replaced the man. Did I say that correctly? I think I did.
You did.
I think I did. All right, my bad is A&M. First off, never should have only been 7-7 at halftime. Blew multiple scoring opportunities in the first half. They had one terrible turnover in the red zone, but then they explode in the third quarter, have a 24-7 lead with less than 4 minutes remaining in the third. And then the defense just took the rest of the night off, and USC storms back. They go up 28-24. A&M responds. Marcel Reed, 19-yard touchdown run with 1:49 left to put them up 31-28. But then the defense lets them down. Once again, USC gets go-ahead game-winning touchdown with 8 seconds left and rallies from 17 down late in the third and beats A&M 35-31. So my bad is A&M. You went into the regular season finale against your arch rival at home. Hadn't played them and since I think in 13 years, since 2011, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 2011, because they came to SEC in 2012. You lose that game by double digits, and now you blow a big bowl game opportunity. And instead of what it had been an otherwise very good season, number one under Mike Elko, ends in disappointment. And I don't know if you call it a disappointing year one, but you certainly don't call it a really good, and you darn sure don't call it a great year one. So that's my bad, the Aggies.
Well, and one little add-on to that is, and I know this is a Southeastern 16, but I'm going to take this tangent, and then I'm going to go into my ugly and take another small little non-SEC tangent. First tangent, how bad is the hot seat for Lincoln Riley if he doesn't have 2 underachieving SEC teams melt down in the last minute? Take away didn't USC beat LSU week 1 when Brian Kelly and them snatched defeat from the jaws of victory? And now Texas A&M does the same damn thing at the end of the year? You take those 2 wins away, and Lincoln Riley's seat's the hottest one in America in 2025, which leads me to my ugly. And this is not SEC, and I apologize to our great leadership, but this is just going to be quick. Cam Ward, you're everything wrong with college football. Period. End of conversation. That you played the first half and Mario Cristobal let you play the first half to break a record that other people earned and then quit on your teammates. Beat feet, man. I don't give a damn if you're an all-pro for 14 years. I will never cheer for you again. You're everything wrong with the game I love. My SEC ugly, Brett Bielema and Shane Beamer should be ashamed of yourselves, because you guys owe it. And I don't want to hear this chat room message board fodder bull snot about, they're passionate. Man, I've seen baseball fights where pitchers were begging shortstops to hold them back more than Shane Beamer was wanting a piece of Brett Bielema. Brett Bielema would have put him in a trash can and rolled him down the hall like I did to way too many kids in high school. I apologize for being a bully. That said, Bielema, you jackhole. No head coach goes all the way across the field to then come back and taunt the other team. And if you both think you're proud of what you did, I'll ask you this. If any player on your team had done anything like you just did, I bet you $1,000 they'd have run gassers at practice. And if you doubt me, call me. I'll run a gasser at your practice. Or you can pay me $1,000. You got more money than me.
All right, so we already did Tennessee as the bad and or the ugly our last time we convened here. And I think we've covered everybody got beat. So I'm going to not do an ugly and come out with another good. Arkansas had as many defections as about anybody going in these bowl games. Now, I know Texas Tech had some too and was missing their starting quarterback, but I was no way I was going to bet Arkansas in this game, pregame, that is. But once I watched the first quarter, I was kind of kicking myself. But then Texas Tech rallies and makes it 21-19 late second. So I know I wasn't getting the best of the line, but I jumped in live on Arkansas minus 2.5. And then I added some more adjusted. I don't know if it was halftime or some point in the third quarter. I even went, and I never do live bets that are away, or I shouldn't say never because I did in this instance, but I very rarely do a live bet that is worse or considerably worse than the pregame spread. So Arkansas was a short underdog in that game, if I'm not mistaken here. Let's see. Yeah, they were like 3-ish, right? Anyway, I ended up betting Arkansas minus 2.5 and minus 4.5 live. And they played outstanding, missing so many players. Tylen Green, 341 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, and 81 rushing yards, and 1 touchdown. And Tesla and James had 3 catches, 137 and a touchdown. Tesla, 3 catches, 107 yards. And so Sam Pittman gets a needed bowl win, and so they take some positive vibes into the offseason. All right, so there is our good, our bad, and our ugly. So we have an SEC team that is in the semifinals, and we finally got a really good CFP football game, although it was not looking like it was going to be. But our reaction to Texas, Arizona State, and I will let you begin. And why don't you tell our listeners how it worked for you betting-wise?
Well, I had a great New Year's Day. I know you had Arizona. I did not like the side either way because I thought Texas was going to run away from them, but I thought it was too many points. But I was heavily invested in the over, and then continuing, got a little bit fortunate with the overtime and a big fourth quarter explosion to hit that. But we talked last week about some of the games we like best. Been on a little bit of a roll, so I was more than heavily invested in Ohio State, the over, and parlayed both of those together for what we like to say in the business is the catbird seat. So it was, let's just say that the Greeson family Christmas, when the American Express bill comes, we'll just ship that straight to a couple of the betting sites that we frequent.
Outstanding. Outstanding. Yeah, so Texas really had its way early. Although I will say, I mean, Arizona State had some opportunities in the first half. They get stopped on or 4th and goal at like the 2. They had another 4th and short, or did they had another 4th and short around, I want to say like the Texas is like 27-ish, 28, like barely inside the 30. And did they miss a field goal too in the first half? Yes.
They did.
So I mean, it was not like blowout, but you didn't feel great about Arizona State going into the second half. And then when they had another 4th down stop, then you felt like it was over. But oh wait, I'm sorry. When I said the 4th and goal in the 2, that was in the third quarter. The 4th and goal.
Well, I thought honestly, and I'm darting in and out of the kitchen because I'm making New Year's Day lunch, and I look up and it's 17-3, and I'm going, this is about to be 51-0 or 51-6.
Right.
I mean, because, and I know Arizona was probably a little anxious, but Texas looked so much faster. I didn't think Sark called a good game. I mean, I think both Sarkisian and Penn State got away from the run too much. And yeah. Challenge your big dudes. And then Arizona State got back in the game. You know how? Challenging their offensive line and giving the ball to Skidabo. And honestly, shouldn't that guy be playing like at Minnesota for PJ Fleck and wearing like number 37 And then you look up and they're in the Rose Bowl, and you're going, how the hell is Minnesota in the Rose Bowl? And this guy runs for like 216 yards, and he's got like a tearaway jersey and eye black. And
he was a dog yesterday.
And that guy also did look like quite the ass chewing out the rest of his teammates on the sidelines when things were going bad.
Right.
But, I mean, dude delivered. That fourth quarter was for the ages. I mean, you're throwing touchdown passes. You're catching 60-yard go routes. You're running 2-point conversions. I mean, wow. Hey, it's a shame there's not a real big job opening, because Dillingham may have moved past Cignetti on the guy everybody's going to want.
Oh, I think he's definitely going past him now after Cignetti coached that garbage game against Notre Dame. I don't think there's any doubt about it, is there?
Well, I mean, the thing that's going to be real tough to pry Dillingham out of there is that's his alma mater, and I think he grew up like 15 miles from there.
Yeah, that's right. My buddy told me that the other night when I think I said Dillingham would be in the SEC in 2 or 3 years. Actually, it's my buddy whose house I'm at. He said, nope, he's an ASU guy. So, yeah, we'll see about that. Well, I'll probably be loyal to him for a while, but maybe in 5, 10
Well,
years.
There's loyal, and then there's doubling your salary.
Well,
I mean,
yeah, there's certainly that. Well, ASU's probably not broke. They got money out there, don't they? I would think.
They're in the Big 12. They don't have SEC money. They don't have Big 10 money.
Right. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. So, I mean, Texas was down to a 4th and 13 with their season on the line. And boy, did they come through at that point. And then they get the ball, a 28-yarder to Matthew Golden from Ewers. And then they get the ball. Next play, Gunnar Helm, a 25-yarder from Ewers. And then ASU could not answer. And wow.
Nobody flipped the narrative in 2 plays that I can ever recall like Quinn Ewers. Because if they lose that game, every Texas fan not related to Quinn Ewers is calling for Arch Manning to be the dude, because he was not great. I mean, he was good at times, but he was not great, and they were going to pin that loss on him. But those 2 throws, buckets, man.
Yep. Yeah,
Dollar bills.
Came through in the clutch, 20 of 30, 322, 3 touchdowns, and 1 pick. So yesterday, most books opened Ohio State at 6.5. I'm looking at what I pull up here. I'm pulling up Circa here. Actually, why am I doing that? Let me go pull up Bet Online. My mistake. Okay, so Bet Online yesterday, they actually opened Ohio State at 7, but 3 minutes later they went down to 6. 11 minutes later, back to 6.5, where they stayed until about 3 or 4 hours ago. They went back to 6. They remain at 6 at Bet Online with a total of 53, and the money line price on Texas is plus 195 at Bet Online. And they're the lowest number out there right now. Is Circa has gone to 5.5, but everybody else seems to be at 6. There are a lot of books. In fact, it looks like Bet Online is one of the few books at 53. Most books have the total at 53.5. Now, I haven't played anything yet, and I'm not even sure if a team total for Ohio State is up. It'll probably be as low as we've seen in a long time, or maybe not in the Michigan game, because Texas does have a pretty salty defense, minus the second half yesterday, or minus the fourth quarter and 1 possession of overtime. But I'm thinking over, and I'd love to get a 7 and think Texas, but I think I need 7. Right now I'm thinking over, but I could be into the Ohio State team total, especially if it's, if it's 30.5 or fewer. If it's 27.5 or fewer, I'm definitely on Ohio State's team total over. Any thoughts there from you at this point?
There's no possible way I'm going against Ohio State. Ohio State's got Jeremiah Smith, and I'm sorry. Oregon had 3 guys around him and Will Howard. You know what? I love play callers who say, all right, we're going Jeremiah Smith on 2, Jeremiah Smith on 2. I mean, if you got a dude that the other team can't stop, then that was honestly, everybody talks about how many different, you and I have talked about it before, how many different ways Spurrier would beat you. And that's fine. But Spurrier was the best I've ever seen, that he would pick a scab that you had until you bled out. And Jeremiah Smith is the scab, because you cannot. Tennessee couldn't stop him. And Tennessee, I mean, their secondary's mixed, but Tennessee's had success against other good wide receivers. Oregon couldn't stop him. Oregon's had a lot of success. They got a couple of NFL dudes running in the secondary. And I know, hey, Texas has the Thorpe winner, and that's fine too. But when you commit that many folks, it's the mismatch theory. Aaron Donald made the Rams great because in today's modern football, when you're matched with similar opponents, 11 on 11 is fine. But if you've got to block two, if you got to commit 2 or 3 guys to block Aaron Donald, that then allows the defense to go 10 on 8. So if you got to commit 3 guys to stop Jeremiah Smith, that means the rest of Ohio State gets to go 10 on 8. And I mean, they've got athletes everywhere, but they just, my biggest query on this, if Jeremiah Smith walked into Ryan Day's office 2 days before the Texas game, said, I need $5 million or I'm opting out, what happens?
I think it was the Buckeye Boosters fined $5 million and another 100, 200 grand.
I can see Ryan Day sitting in his desk going,
let me make a few calls, Jeremy.
Check out too.
Absolutely. All right. Yesterday, 7 catches, 187, 2 touchdowns, but he was at like 4 catches, 100 and something, in the first quarter. Yeah. And then they went conservative in the second half. He's a dude for sure. Okay, so we will obviously be able to. Circa just moved Ohio State to 5. Circa's obviously taking some sharp money on Texas this morning. So it'll be interesting to see what the market does here. When I saw 6.5 early this morning, I was thinking, oh, maybe this thing will get to 7. Well, maybe not. But we will find out when we reconvene. We'll have plenty on that. All right, are we ready to put football to bed? Maybe let's take a little timeout and then come back with some college.
I got one more bowl thing to say. And you and I broke down Georgia last week, and of course Georgia was supposed to play last night. And we're taping this on Thursday right after lunch. They'll play later this afternoon in New Orleans against Notre Dame in the Sugar Bowl, in a very meaningful football game, but it's a meaningful football game that reminds us all of what is important. And those are the people we love, and the people, there are 15 families that will have lost someone they'll never get to spend a Christmas with. And I hate all the things that we have to do to manage our security in this country against the crazies and the mean-spirited and truly the evil that hate our way of life. And you know what? They can go screw themselves. And I hate everything about it, but I believe delaying the game was the right call. I hate it for the families who spent way too much, maybe even way more money than they had, to try to get their loved ones, their kids, their fans of Georgia or Notre Dame to see a meaningful and a historic football game, who couldn't stay the next day or who couldn't make it last another 72 hours or 36 hours or however long the trip is going to last. But as Americans, I think we should just be proud of the folks who responded, be happy with that. I mean, happy is a terrible word to use, but realize that the terms life and death scenarios, when we're talking about games that involve balls and bets and ball games, it's an overused, unfounded term, and our prayers are with everybody in New Orleans and all those who are affected.
No doubt about it. Are you wanting to bet on yourself? Are you an experienced entrepreneur looking to diversify, or just tired of answering to the man? If so, let me tell you about our guy, Andy Ludecke, and his business, My Perfect Franchise. Net. Andy was tired of answering to the man. He wanted to start his own business. He did just that. Now he's got multiple businesses, and now he's helping others do the same thing. Here's how it works. You go to Andy's website, myperfectfranchise.net. You're going to set up an intro call, 1 hour consultation fee, or I'm sorry, 1 hour consultation. And here's the best thing. It's 100% free, not fee, like I said a moment ago, 100% free. You tell Andy about your passions, your skills, your goals, the time and money you have to invest in this endeavor, and then he's going to figure out what sort of business fits your DNA, register you with potential franchises. He'll find the best franchise that suits the vision and corporate culture you want. Before you know it, you're going to be on your way, and Andy will have you making greenbacks galore. So what are you waiting for? Reach out to Andy, our guy, Andy Ludecke at myperfectfranchise.net. All right, let's shift gears to college hoops. And man, is this going to be a fun next 3 months, as the SEC and college basketball has never been better. And just to give you an example, let me just go through every SEC team's ranking at KenPom. Auburn, number 1, Tennessee, number 4, Florida, 6, Bama 9, A&M 13, Kentucky 22, Mississippi State 23, Ole Miss 32, Texas 34, Arkansas 39, Oklahoma 40, unbeaten Oklahoma 40, Georgia 47, Vandy 50, Mizzou 55, LSU 56, and South Carolina 64. So, I mean, South Carolina's 10-3. They are the only team with 3 losses, and the only teams in all of college basketball left that are undefeated are all in the SEC. That's Tennessee, Florida, and Oklahoma. And later on, I will get Lunardi's latest projection and share where the SEC is there. But let's start jumping into some games for Saturday. And it's going to start with unbeaten Florida at Kentucky, Rupp Arena at noon Eastern. And Kentucky right now 11-2 overall. Their loss is on a neutral court at MSG and NYC to Ohio State, and they lost at Clemson. Clemson's number 29 in KenPom, Ohio State number 28. But here are their quality wins. Duke, number 2 at KenPom in Atlanta, beat them by 5. Gonzaga beat them out in Seattle at the wherever the Sonics used to play, or I don't know, whatever arena it is in Seattle these days, maybe where the hockey team plays. Anyway, they beat Gonzaga out there, which is pretty much a road game. They beat and Gonzaga's number 7, I'm sorry, in KenPom. The Louisville's number 54. They beat them. So some very high quality wins. 2 losses that are quad 1 losses per the net rankings. And as for the Gators, haven't had the toughest of schedules. Not really their fault that FSU and Wake Forest and Virginia aren't that good. FSU's 70th in KenPom, Wake 92, Virginia 102, Wichita State is 104, but they beat Carolina in Charlotte. Carolina's 33. They beat Arizona State on a neutral. Arizona State is 62, and they won by 13 at FSU. So not as high quality, but they've given out losses in pimp slap fashion. In fact, every win by 13 or more, other than the North Carolina win, but they led by at least 17 in the first half of that game. I'm looking for the largest lead here. I'm not seeing it. But anyway, yeah. So Florida at Kentucky, gosh, I'm going to guess Kentucky might be a 1-point favorite, but it very well could be Florida, a 1 or 2 point favorite. That's just my guess. What are you thinking here, Jay?
Well, I think Kentucky's going to be a little heavier favorite than that, honestly.
3 or 4?
Probably around that 3 number because of, Kentucky is in basketball, clearly the Notre Dame, Alabama, everybody nationally wants to bet on Kentucky. You know what I'm saying? It is, Kentucky's playing. And, they're only laying 3. But I think the biggest matchup in this game, which is just a hammer game to start a conference schedule that is going to be heavyweight fight after heavyweight fight after heavyweight fight, almost every Saturday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday. There's going to be top 15 matchups almost every night that the SEC Network shows highlights. My question for you, because I know you have followed Florida way better than most. Florida leads the country in total rebounds per game. It's been an unbelievable advantage with their length. Kentucky is 5th in rebounds per game. This will be the best rebounding team Florida has faced. So I'm curious. This isn't about a whole lot. It's like talking about offensive line play,
right?
In a matchup of two great passing teams. I mean, with the team that controls the backboard wins the game, right?
Yeah, probably, unless just one of the other shoots, way considerably better from downtown. As Dickie V says, the 3-pointer is the great equalizer. Yeah, but I mean, I would think that's an accurate assessment for sure.
I lean towards the home team in coin flip games across this league, which means there's going to be we're going to get to Selection Sunday, and there's going to be like a handful of 2 or 3 loss teams looking for a 1 or a 2 seed. And then there's going to be like 3 7-loss SEC teams all looking up and going, well, what about us? I mean, we're better than the rest of those guys. We just have been playing in a terrible league or a terribly hard league.
Yeah. Looking at Ken Palm, and I'm not always saying that Ken Palm's projection is going to be exactly what the line is by the bookmakers, but it's usually within a point or two. And I was thinking about the total because I'm thinking it's got to be at least 160. And then I look at Ken Palm. So they have Florida winning 83-82. So that would be a 165. I was going to say if it's 159.5 or fewer, I would be thinking the over. But it looks like we might get mid 160s. So I'm just going to say if Florida is getting 4 or more, I'll probably be on the Gators. But, if the spread is Florida -1 and the total is 165, I will just either root for my Gators or try to find something live to bet there. Okay, next, let's go Georgia at Ole Miss. And Georgia has just completed its best non-conference, maybe – did I see something? Was it their best non-conference ever, or since like forever ago? Anyway, they are 12-1.
I can't even recall Georgia in a million years starting the year 13-0.
Yeah, no, I mean, 13-1 or 12-1. I'm sorry, but
right, but to be better than 12-1, I mean, no, this has been an unbelievably surprising Georgia team. That, I mean. This is like Vandy being good at football. You can't expect this. I mean, no. now Georgia's going to be a tough out.
Yes. So they got a big neutral win against St. John's, number 19 in Ken Palm. Now, a lot of their schedule's not that great. They did win at Georgia Tech, but it's kind of a down year for Georgia Tech. Their only loss is to number 8 Marquette on a neutral. So it's been a really good year for Georgia. So far, and Ole Miss is 11-2. Their losses on a neutral by only 2 to number 27 Purdue, and they lost by 17 at Memphis. Their best wins are number 35 BYU on a neutral in San Diego. They got a not neutral, a semi-home win over 94 Colorado State, and they won by 23 at Louisville. So neither of these teams have played great schedules. I'm thinking Ole Miss is going to be around 3.5 to 4.5. Let's see. Ken Palm has Georgia, or actually, yeah, it has Ole Miss projected to win 75-71. So Ole Miss -4 if Ken Palm's accurate.
I think the number will be higher than that.
Could be.
I mean, I think Ken Palm is crunching a whole lot of numbers in previous and whatever else, but the betting lines, I think, factor in home court a whole lot more. I really do. And in truth, with students coming back, I don't like this game either way. I think I've been amazingly surprised by Georgia, and I've been kind of underwhelmed. I know Ole Miss has got a number next to its name right now, but That's one of the weaker resumes in the league.
Yeah. I mean, they're 16th, just going by what I'm looking at. It covers, I guess they're 16th in AP, but only number 32 in KenPom. I probably should pull the net rankings up as well, but they're not as easy to navigate as KenPom. Yeah, I wouldn't, if it's Ole Miss -4, it's probably a game I would stay off of. But as always, if you're thinking, oh, I'd like Georgia +7 or 8, well, maybe look for that live. But then again, like I was gonna in football, I did bet Vandy on the money line against Georgia Tech, and I did bet them plus the points. But I was looking to really bet them if Georgia Tech scored early and I could get them, at +6 or 7 rather than +3. Vandy jumps on them, and that never materializes. So it doesn't always materialize, but I bet 70% of the time, if you're just looking to get a spread 2 or 3 points better, you're usually going to be able to get it with a live bet. Not always, but
especially in kind of explaining that logic. I mean, to our folks out there who may be new into the online betting world and the in-game betting realm, one of the things, the emotion of the home crowd frequently pushes an Ole Miss to a quick 8-2 run,
sure,
or a 10-2 run. And so you look up, and if it starts Georgia +3, you can find Georgia +7 before that first TV timeout. I mean, that's well worth the wait.
Yes, I concur. Yes. All right. So the next one, I mean, all these games are awesome. All right. Arkansas at Tennessee. And all right, I am going to have my net rankings up here now. All right. So Arkansas at Tennessee. I'm going to speculate before I even look at KenPom's projection. So the Vols are 13-0. I haven't looked yet. That sounds like a really good guess, though. Let me look at Arkansas. So let me just go through Tennessee a little bit first. Won by 22 at 54 Louisville. Beat 16 Baylor by 15 on a neutral in the Bahamas. Beat 102 Virginia by 22 in the Bahamas. Beat Syracuse by 26, but they're way down, 121. Beat Miami by 13. They're 114. They beat Illinois at Illinois. That's the number 18 team. So those are their big wins. Arkansas 11-2. Their losses are to Illinois by 13 on a neutral in Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and by 5 to Baylor on a not very neutral in Dallas. Well, kind of neutral. I don't know the Waco. I think it's like a 3 or 4 hour drive. Key wins for Arkansas. They won on a neutral to number 10 Michigan at MSG and NYC, and their only top 100 win is over 95 Lipscomb at home by 16. So Cal, and I don't know, well, yeah, he was in place long enough to make the schedule. He usually plays a tougher schedule, but I guess not his fault that at Miami, Miami is just down this year. But yeah, that's a pretty weak schedule for Cal. All right, so
but you can't hold that against Cal in the sense that Kentucky, well, and not only new team, but while he could make some calls and maybe get 1 or 2 more Saturday CBS games in December, you're not going to get in those tournaments until next year.
Right.
I mean, if you're wanting to get to Maui or Puerto Rico or
Correct.
Some of those where there are 5 ranked teams in an 8-team field, those are where a lot of the SEC keynote games go. As for this game, I think Tennessee's going to punch them in the face. I really do. And here's why. Arkansas has elevated their game and done probably a little bit better with all these transfers and the new coach and all these other things, because they're number 3 in the country in shooting percentage against a Midland mediocre schedule. Conversely, Tennessee's played a balls-out schedule, and they're number 2 in the country in field goal percentage against. And at home, Tennessee's going to lock you down. And I think this is going to be we're going to look up, and this is going to be one of those 23, 24-point Tennessee wins. And everybody goes, okay, there they are.
Yeah, Tennessee 2 in the net rankings, Arkansas 41 in net. And you said 12.5? Nice work by you. Ken Palm's got it at 12 with a total of 140 as it's a 76-64 prediction. All right, moving on. We've got South Carolina at Mississippi State at 4 p.m. Eastern. Mississippi State, number 23 at Ken Palm. And I'm looking for them here in the net. Oh, they're 19th in the net. They're only lost to number 78 Butler on a neutral out in Tempe. Their top 100 wins. They've got a win over number 69 Utah. They won at number 43 SMU. That's pretty solid. They beat 97 UNLV out in Tempe. They beat 25 Pitt at home and beat them by 33. They beat McNeese, number 79, with Will Wade, and Tupelo beat him by only 3, and they won at Memphis by 13. So there's 2 really good road wins that'll help their resume come Selection Sunday at SMU and at Memphis by 13. That is impressive. And we look at South Carolina. They also have some good wins. And, well, they had a bad home loss to number 184 North Florida. They lost at number 57 Indiana. They lost in Fort Myers on a neutral to 51 Xavier. I think that was before Xavier had lost Fremantle, their stud big man. And then they got a home winner, 29 Clemson. They do have wins over Tech and Boston College, but Tech and Boston College are way down. So anyhow, but really only that one major win for South Carolina. And the projection is that they will be plus 10 at Mississippi State.
Ooh, my numbers are good because I was thinking if I can get anything in single digits, I am all over Mississippi State.
I think I like Mississippi State anyway.
I do too. I mean, 10 is the same, almost the same as single digits. As long as it doesn't get to like 12, 14 when you get into that free throw shooting mumbo jumbo down at the end. If it's still single digits, teams still play. I think Mississippi State's pretty good. I think Mississippi State's got one of the 5 or 7 best players in this league. And I mean, I'm not saying Josh Hubbard is into Diego Pavia status for us yet, but I love that kid. I mean, strokes it.
Yes. And hey, it's got one of the best assist to turnover ratios in the country. I actually have tweeted about it a few times. Let me check it updated wise. So he went into a game within the last like 10 days where he had, all right, so where is he at right now? So he's got a 42-10 assist to turnover ratio, which is very good, but he's been turning it over here lately. So let's see, the last game he had a 2-2 assist to turnover ratio, and the game before that he had a 1-5. So that means he went in to that the last 2 games. He went into the Memphis game having turned it over only 3 times all year. Let's see, he had 3 assists in those games. So at one point, he had a 39-3 assist to turnover ratio. That's pretty
nice.
That's pretty doggone good. I mean, especially for just a 3-point sniper. Yeah. So anyway, I would like Mississippi State at 10 or fewer in that one. All right, next we've got Mizzou at Auburn. Oh, this is going to be a big number. Let's project this number before I look at it. I'm not even to the page yet. I'll let you go first.
18.
Okay, I'm glancing at Missouri's resume. They lost by 8 at Memphis and lost by 3 to Illinois. Okay. I'm going to say 16 and a hook. All right, let's see what we got. Oh, Greeson's on fire today. 89-71. That's 18, and that's a 160 total.
I'm taking the over. Well, I'm taking Auburn at 18 because you mentioned a key stat and one that I love to follow. You want to guess which team in the country leads America in assist to turnover ratio?
Auburn.
It's not close.
Yeah.
Number 2 is UConn at 1.9. Auburn is at 2.2 and change. Assists to turnovers.
That shows you that Josh Hubbard stat. That was 13. 39-3. That's 13, right? 13, 26,
Right.
39. Yeah.
And here's the thing. And Auburn does so many things well. They do so many things well. They utilize their depth by playing 94 feet defensively. Even though they're not trying to trap and force turnovers, they're making you work every foot of the floor when you have the ball in your hand. That's a great thing. Bruce Pearl is a genius on inbounds plays. That's a great thing. The elite thing is how these kids share the basketball and how these kids like to play together. It is noticeable, and it jumps not only off the screen, but it resonates, especially when Auburn's at home. They're going to be a tough handle at home.
I do not see myself fading Auburn at home this year unless just one of these top 3 or 4 teams in the SEC is getting like 15 or more. Yeah, so that would be Auburn or pass for me. I don't know that I would lay 18, but
I am. That actually is probably my favorite play of the weekend.
You just auto play on Auburn. Anything?
I am. Well, I am auto play on Auburn.
I hear. I'm not. Whoa! I'm not saying it's a bad move at all. Maybe it's like Army this year until the last couple of games, and and LSU over in football in 2023.
Side tangent, because who is our bigger betting man crush in bets and ball games history? We love ourselves some Diego Pavia, but he hasn't passed Jaden Daniels, has he?
Well, I don't know, man.
I've gone to the NFL, and he's become my favorite NFL bettor.
Oh yeah, so yeah. I would. I'm sorry, you're correct, because I would have to combine my success with Jaden Daniels and the Commanders this year. So yes, Jaden Daniels still on top. I was gonna say, if we're just comparing Jaden 2023, which we might want to mention Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors as well. Oh, by the way, I had the Colts last week in my eliminator, and I'm out. And I had the opportunity to have the Ravens minus 17.5 against the Browns this week. Still stings. And I thought of Malik Neighbors, because Malik Neighbors made Drew Lock look like a combination of Joe Montana and Tom Brady and Johnny Unitas in a 3-hour stretch. Drew Lock
for our non-regular listeners and viewers.
All right, you want me to give you the recap?
No, I just want the payout that you were one of like 10 or 11 left in a survivor pool, and first prize was
$23,000 and change.
Ouch!
And I knew like pretty much who I was going to pick. So we got wound down from 1,552 to 11 going into week 13, and week 13 through week 16, 4 weeks, all 11 won. And I pretty much knew who I was going to pick around week 12, week 13. The rest of the year, I pretty much knew, barring injuries, etc. And I knew week 17 was going to be the Sketch City one. And I mean, I knew that, because if those not familiar, the thing with this contest is you pick one team to win outright, but you just can't use them the rest of the season. So when you get to week 17, there's 16 teams you can't use. So I knew Indy at the Giants was probably going to be my best option. Now, I could have used the Ravens at Houston, and I would still be surviving. But then who in the world was I going to use this week? Because basically all the favorites are a part of my 17 teams I would have already used. So it was going to be either sketchy this week or last week with the way the Giants have been playing. All right, let's quit talking about it.
Yep.
Another person had the Colts, so it's 9 left going for it all. Anyway, where in the world were we?
Vandy LSU.
Yes. Vandy LSU, 6:30 Eastern. All right, I have not watched LSU yet, but I've watched Vandy, and man, they got a coach in Byington, and I like this Vandy team. Their only loss is to Drake on a neutral when they were playing for the third time in 4 days and had beaten Nevada and Seton Hall. That was in the tournament in Charleston. Drake's 73. Their top 100 wins are over Nevada on a neutral, and they beat TCU in Fort Worth, not on campus, but that's one of the games I saw, Vandy. But they've been beaten. I mean, they won at Virginia Tech by 16. I know Vatek's down, but they've been beating these teams good. They beat Seton Hall by 16. They beat Cal by 16. And then when you look at LSU, LSU has lost a neutral to Pitt and a semi away to SMU. Their top 100 wins. They beat K-State 86. At K-State by 11. They beat UCF on a neutral in 3 overtimes, and they beat FSU at home by 10. And you want to project this one for Vandy at LSU? I'm going to say Vandy by 2.5.
LSU -2.
LSU -3. Okay. I think Jay's lines are a little tighter than mine here in very early January. They certainly are. But if Vandy wins,
I'm on Vandy. I think Vandy wins that one. I love the whole vibe around this Vandy team.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Stackhouse did a whole lot of really good things there, but a different style plays in the early parts of your first tenure. And I think that guy has really connected to a whole lot of folks who maybe felt Stackhouse was a hard ass now.
Yeah.
A hard ass. And I'm not saying you can be everybody's best buddy and be a successful coach. I'm not saying that at all. But if you're always hitting the whip and never offering the carrot, eventually you're not the guy who's being the disciplinarian. You're just the guy that yells all the time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think this guy has resonated in that locker room. And you know what? These kids are playing ball.
Yep. They sure are.
You know, LSU, though, basketball is like Texas A&M football. They should never stink.
No.
They should never stink. And, I mean, Will Wade maybe has the best team in the state.
Right.
McNeese.
Yeah. Yep. He might. Okay, so now, so we both like Vandy. If Vandy is underdog, I like Vandy. All right, now we go Oklahoma at Bama at 8 o'clock. And I imagine Coleman Coliseum will be rocking. Alabama's only losses at Purdue, and they lost by 2 on a neutral in Vegas. To Oregon, they have 7 top 100 wins, the best being against Houston in Las Vegas, Houston being number 3. And they beat 18 Illinois by 13 in Birmingham. And they also won by 15 at number 33 North Carolina. And Oklahoma, I think I read off their stuff earlier. So at Bama, I'm going to say Bama minus, 10.
I think that's too low. I'm going to say Alabama -14.
Alabama -9. It's a prediction of 88-79. So that's 167 by my math. It's a high total, but Alabama and Auburn totals are always going to be high this year. I don't know that I would. I think it's a good line. I would like Alabama on a money line parlay, but that would probably be a pass for me.
Let me ask you just a side question. Are you a little bit troubled? I mean, Alabama is clear on what Nate Oates wants to do. They are going to run, and they are going to shoot from deep.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama's 248th in the country, shooting 31.7% from deep.
Yeah.
And the defenses are only going to get better
against
the competition moving forward.
And looking at KenPom numbers right here, they're number 1 in the nation in 2-point percentage, shooting 63.1.
That's because everybody sprints to contest.
Right.
Which means allows for driving lanes, cutters, whatever you want, but they're clearly not really changing or embracing their strengths or style.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just kind of trust Oates that they're going to get right at some point, but maybe getting right is taking less threes and just, Sears attacking more and not necessarily always attacking to dish for three. Um, I,
I'm not betting against Alabama at home either, and
right.
that
Yeah.
that number is going to have to be 19 for me to take Oklahoma here. I mean, if it's around the 9 or 10 number, I mean, I think then I'm on Alabama. I really am,
Yeah.
but uh, I'll be surprised. We talk often about 3 points being what home field advantage in football means. I think it's worth more than 3 points in basketball for the good home court
Oh yeah,
advantage.
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Five is or six for
Yeah, I agree with that.
Auburn. Okay, last one. Texas at Texas A&M. 9 p.m. Eastern. You know what? I might have been saying a couple of those times wrong. I think I wrote them down Eastern. I think I was adjusting them. So don't trust me on those tip times that I was saying. Okay, so let's see. Texas. Where are you? Where are you? Okay, here we go. 11-2 losses on a neutral to 28 Ohio State and to number 14 UConn at home. Wow, only one top 100 win. Or I'm sorry, two top 100 wins for Texas. They beat 85 NC State in Raleigh. They beat 88 St. Joe's in Brooklyn at Barclays. They did beat Syracuse at Barclays as well, but Syracuse is 121. And as for A&M, they are 13. Their two losses at UCF by 3, on a neutral to Oregon by 10, but that was like a 2-point game with like 45 seconds left. I was watching that game. Oregon just went like 8 of 8 from free throw line in the last like 18 seconds. A&M's got a win at home over 28 Ohio State by 14 points. Other top 100 wins, they beat 53 Creighton on a neutral in Vegas, beat 74 Rutgers on a neutral in Vegas, beat 92 Wake at home, beat 26 Texas Tech in Fort Worth, beat 27 Purdue in Indianapolis. So that's it. 1, 2, 3, 4. They've ripped off 7 wins in a row, 5 of them over top 92 teams. I have not looked at the line yet. I'll let you speculate. We're at A&M, College Station. I'm thinking A&M by 10.
8.
I was going to say 10 or 11.
I like A&M in this spot. I really do. I think this is a game Buzz Williams wants to win for the home folk and win convincingly. Whatever, almost unless it gets up to like 15 or 16, I would take A&M regardless. But I'm gonna say 8 or 9.
Yeah, we're on the same page here, and KenPom has it projected at 7, but I think the odds makers will be closer to where we're at. Jay saying 8 or 9, me saying 10 or 11. Yeah, I would like A&M probably at anything single digits. 9.5.
And I would like A&M as high as your 11, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah. All right. All right.
I will be on a lot of home court favorites this week that are between that 7 and 12 number, and for Auburn even higher. I would be a little uneasy about the coin flip 2 or 3 point games with a home court, whichever way it may go. I mean, I don't trust Ole Miss against a Georgia team that's feisty. I don't necessarily look up and feel. I feel pretty good about Vandy comparatively, but Vandy may be Vandy and Georgia. Well, I don't want really any part. There are a lot of games I like better than Florida, Kentucky, because that can go 1,000 different ways.
Yep. All right. All right. Last thing. I've got a couple NFL picks. Actually, hardly any, to be honest. But I'm going to share them now. I will go with Detroit -2.5 or 3 at home to Minnesota. I'll also go the Lions automatic play team total over 29.5. And I need to do some more homework on NFL in terms of injuries and motivation. So I'm just going to leave it at that with those two plays. on the Lions, which had those 2 plays against the Niners on Monday Night Football. Anything that you have, and I'll just remind everybody, not sure if Max will have this edited before kickoff, but Jay and I, our last show, we were both very high on Georgia. Let's hope Georgia comes through today. Over to you, Jay.
Well, you can read all of my daily stuff at the 5 at 10, and then on Fridays, and you can also sign up for my email, my betting email, Jay's Plays. It's free from timesfreepress.com. You can sign up there. Been on a hot streak, unbelievably hot streak, up 20 units in the last month. So the bowl games have been very good to me. The Detroit Lions have been very good to me. I got on late to Brian's tip of the Commanders, but
we got lucky with that one. Thank you, Raheem, for your unbelievable, abysmal, atrocious, fireable offense, pink slip worthy clock management. If
I was starting to write contracts for NFL coaches, I would put a malfeasance clause in there about clock management.
Management.
Yeah, 2-point management and clock management. And if you can't figure this out, that'd be like hiring a sports writer who can't type, because it's the fundamental basics of what the head coach does. Because the head coach is not calling plays in most cases. He's not calling defenses in most cases. He's not assembling the roster in the NFL in most cases. So if you can't know when to go for it on 4th down, you can't know when to go for 2, and you don't know when to use your damn timeouts, Raheem Morris, then that is honestly, I mean, you're a sports writer who doesn't know how to type.
Yeah. The first game Nathaniel Hackett ever coached as a head coach was the worst clock management I've ever seen. Les Miles, Billy Bob were blushing. Even Raheem was blushing. Nathaniel Hackett should have been fired after that Monday night game against Seattle, the first game he ever coached. These are billion-dollar businesses. Before they talk scheme, before they talk all these other locker room, team building, you got to give a potential head, like let's say Ben Johnson, Detroit's OC. I mean, he's a fantastic OC, but I don't even want to talk to him until I sit down with him and we talk clock management, end of game stuff for a half hour.
I'll go you one step further. Write the toughest clock management question you can down, or the easiest.
Right.
And I don't care what it is. I don't care what the answer is.
Yeah.
4th and 1 at the opponent's 41, tie game early. You've got a field goal kicker who can't make a 50-yarder. What do? I hope the answer is I'm hiring an analytics person who's going to be in my headset, who's going to tell me all of the ways that I need to evaluate this. Because you have the same thing for offense and defense. You have the same thing for special teams. The GM does the roster. You're the guy making the decisions, and that's fine. But you need to have a analytics coordinator who is advising you on all the other possible scenarios in game, and then you pull the trigger.
Yeah,
because Dan Campbell, as ballsy as that guy is, he doesn't always make the right choice. He just puts his basketball-sized testicles on the table and says, "Here we are. We're the Detroit Lions. We're going for it." I mean, but it's not always right.
Yeah, it's that situation that Atlanta had the other night. When you have 2 timeouts left, it's so obvious you take that timeout there. And then let's say you're at your own 35. Let's say there's 38 seconds left, and you hit a 30-yard pass. So that gets you to the other 35, but you only have 1 timeout. What do? You get on the ball and spike it. And
I'll go you another one. And this one's underrated. Sarkisian should have gone for 2 when they scored the touchdown and they kicked the extra point to go up 24-8.
Oh, to go from 15 to 17?
Yeah, to go to 70, because this is a 3-score game.
Right, that would make it a 3-possession game.
2-score game.
See, I'm okay with going to 16 there, because you make them make two 2-point conversions.
But everybody, it's a follow me league.
I know if you I get what you're saying. Get to 17, make it a 3-possession game, and it's over. But in other words, I think that's kind of 50-50. I don't scold anybody for getting it to 16 because you're forcing them to make two-point conversions. If you're left at 15, all they got to do is get one. I know, but look, it all depends on, are you confident in your 2-point plays, etc. I just don't think that's as egregious as a lot of the other.
Oh, there's nothing as egregious as not
Raheem.
knowing how to use your timeouts.
Right,
Dear Lord, man.
Right. Oh, I'm not saying you're wrong on that. I'm just saying that's just not nearly as big a deal.
We're going to have to figure out what is the Falcons hate version of the Southeastern 16 platform, because that's where we are.
Yes. Yes. All right, everybody. Good luck with your bets. Happy New Year. All that good stuff for Bet Online. My man Andy Ludecke, myperfectfranchise.net, myperfectfranchise.net. Jay Greeson, I'm Brian Edwards. Happy holidays. Let's win some money. We're out.